Welcome to another episode of Out from the Horrorbox. I'm your shape-changing host, Dom. And in this episode, we take a look at two supernatural horror films. 2017's film, directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Chase Palmer, Cary Fukunaga, and Gary Dauberman. It. And 2019's film, also directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Gary Dauberman, It, Chapter 2. We start in the town of Derry. The local kids are disappearing one by one. In a place known as the Barrens, a group of 7 kids are united by their horrifying and strange encounters with an evil clown and their determination to kill it. Defeated by members of the Losers Club, the evil clown Pennywise returns 27 years later to terrorize the town of Derry, Maine, once again. Now adults, the childhood friends have long since gone their separate ways, but when people start disappearing, Mike Hanlon calls the others home for one final stand. Damaged by the scars from the past, the united losers must conquer their deepest fears to destroy the shape-shifting Pennywise, now more powerful than ever. We head back to Derry, Maine for the remake to the cult classic adaptation of It. This latest adaptation of the novel It underwent a long and complex development process that began in 2009 and progressed through 2 major creative phases. The first phase, led by Cary Fukunaga from 2009 to 2015, included early contributions from screenwriter David Kajanik. The second phase saw Andy Muschietti take over as director, though Fukunaga remained involved due to his prior work on the screenplay. The project was first announced on March 12, 2009, when Variety reported that Warner Brothers had acquired the rights to adapt Stephen King's novel, with Kajanik attached to write the script and producers Dan Lin, Roy Lee, and Doug Davison on board. Kajanik was eager for the opportunity and sought to condense King's sprawling narrative, which spans 2 time periods and has a large ensemble, into one feature film, as per the studio's stipulation. Drawing from his previous collaboration with the producers on The Invasion, which, if you haven't seen that film, check it out, it's pretty good. Kajanik trusted that they would support his vision. He envisioned the adaptation as an R-rated film, staying true to the novel's dark themes, and proposed setting it in the mid-1980s and present day to mirror King's original time jump. By June 29, 2010, Kajanik was revising his script, describing his ideal Pennywise as less self-aware and more unsettling, even joking that silent film star Buster Keaton would have been his dream casting choice. The project gained momentum on June 7, 2012, when The Hollywood Reporter revealed Fukunaga had signed on to direct and co-write the screenplay with Chase Palmer. By May 21, 2014, the film had shifted to New Line Cinema, with executives Walter Hamada, Dave Neudsatter, and Warner Brothers' Nija Kuykendall, sorry if I'm mispronouncing these, overseeing production. In December 2014 interview with Culture, Dan Lin confirmed the story would be split into 2 films, the first focusing on the children's coming-of-age horror, and the second on their adult reunion. King himself reportedly endorsed the script, giving Fukunaga his blessing. Casting progressed in early 2015, with Fukunaga expressing his desires to find the perfect Pennywise. On May 4th, Will Poulter was officially cast in the role after impressing Fukunaga, while Ty Simpkins was considered for one of the Losers Club's members. However, creative differences soon arose. On May 25, 2015, Fukunaga exited the project, citing disagreements with New Line Cinema over the film's direction. He later clarified that budget constraints weren't the issue. Rather, he wanted to make an unconventional horror film that deviated from studio expectations. Fukunaga and Palmer had reworked the script, updating the setting while preserving King's spirit, but ultimately he preferred the studio rewrite rather than see his vision diluted. King humorously remarked on the situation, alluding to Tim Curry's iconic portrayal as the definitive Pennywise. The search for a new director ended on July 16th, 2015, when Andy Muschietti entered negotiations. New Line sought a writer to tailor the script to his vision, with his sister Barbara Muschietti potentially producing. By April 2016, Poulter had dropped out due to scheduling conflicts, and Bill Skarsgård entered talks to replace him. The film was slated for a September 8th, 2017 release. Muschietti's approach differed from Fukunaga's. In October 2015 interview with Variety, he expressed interest in modernizing the horror elements, moving away from the classic monsters like mummies and werewolves in favor of deeper psychological fears. By February 2016, producer Roy Lee confirmed the script had been rewritten by Gary Dauberman, with the story now envisioned as 2 films. Casting continued throughout 2016, with Jaden Lieberer set as Bill Denbrough, and Skarsgård finalized as Pennywise. The Young Losers Club included Finn Wolfhard, Jack Dylan Grazer, Sophia Lillis, and others, while Javier Botet and Stephen Bogart joined in supporting roles. Filming took place in Port Hope, Ontario, chosen for its idyllic small-town aesthetic, a stark contrast to the story's horrors. Barbara Muschietti praised the local community's involvement, with over 360 extras participating. As production progressed, comparisons to Netflix's Stranger Things arose, but Dan Lin emphasized its homage to 1980s classics like Stand By Me and The Goonies. The film's R rating was confirmed in early 2017, with Lin stressing the importance of embracing the source material's darkness. Muschietti also revealed that Skarsgård's Pennywise was kept separate from the kid actors to heighten their on-screen terror. This tactic proved effective when they first met him in full costume. In the July 2017 interview with Mad Movies, Muschietti discussed the creative freedom the R rating provided, allowing him to explore mature themes without restraint. Barbara Muschietti noted only one scene, a particularly gruesome moment from the novel, was deemed too extreme for the film. Later that month, Andy Muschietti explained to Variety that, while the core story remained intact, the manifestations of fear were updated to reflect contemporary childhood traumas rather than 1950s movie monsters. He credited the film's effectiveness to staying true to personal fears, a philosophy he believed was key to genuine horror. Skarsgård's imposing presence and commitment to the role further solidified Pennywise as a terrifying figure, leaving a lasting impression on both the cast and audiences. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There you go. She's all ready, Captain.
Thanks, Billy. Derry's not like any town I've ever been in before. People die or disappear 6 times the national average. And that's just grown-ups. Kids are worse. Way worse. We all float down here.
I saw something. There was this
Clown. Yeah, I saw him too.
look. It's all connected by the sewers. That's where it lives. What happened? Well,
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
In October 1988, 12-year-old Bill Denbrough crafts a paper sailboat for his 6-year-old brother, Georgie. While playing in the rain-soaked streets of Derry, Maine, Georgie loses the boat down a storm drain. As he reaches for it, he encounters a clown lurking in the sewer, who introduces himself as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, played by Bill Skarsgård. Luring Georgie in closer, Pennywise tears off his arm and drags him into the darkness. The two boys are played by Jaden Lieber and Jackson Robert Scott, respectively. The next summer, in June 1989, Bill and his friends, Richie Tozer, Eddie Kasprak, and Stanley Uris, played by Finn Wolfhard, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Wyatt Olaf, respectively, face harassment from a gang of older bullies: Henry Bowers, Belch Huggins, Patrick Hockstetter, and Victor Chris. The bullies are played by Nicholas Hamilton, Jake Sim, Owen Teague, and Logan Thompson, respectively. Still tormented by Georgie's disappearance, Bill theorizes that his brother's body might have surfaced in the Barrens, a marshy area outside town. He and his friends search the area, clinging to the faint hope that Georgie might still be alive. Meanwhile, Ben Hanscom, played by Jeremy Ray Taylor, a new classmate, uncovers Derry's long history of mysterious tragedies and missing children. When Bowers' gang targets him, Ben escapes into the Barrens and joins Bill's group. They discover a sneaker belonging to Betty Ripsom, a missing girl, while Patrick is later killed by grotesque creatures in the sewers. Beverly Marsh, played by Sophia Lillis, a girl ostracized for rumors of her behavior, befriends the group, with both Bill and Ben developing crushes on her. Later, they rescue orphan Mike Hanlon from Bowers, solidifying their bond. Mike is played by Chosen Jacobs. Each member of the group has faced horrifying visions of Pennywise. Ben is pursued by a headless corpse. Beverly witnesses a blood-spewing sink invisible to adults. Eddie is stalked by a rotting leper. Stan sees a painting come to life. Mike relives his parents' fiery deaths, and Bill is haunted by Georgie's ghost. Naming themselves the Losers Club, they realize that they're all being hunted by the same entity, It, which feeds on children every 27 years. Research leads to them to believe It uses Derry's sewer system, with its lair hidden beneath an abandoned house on Neibolt Street. After a terrifying encounter with Pennywise, the group ventures to the house, only to be separated and tormented. When Pennywise taunts Bill about Georgie, Beverly stabs It in the head, forcing It to retreat. The group escapes, but only Bill and Beverly remain determined to fight. Weeks later, after Beverly defends herself against her abusive father, Pennywise kidnaps her. The losers reunite and return to the abandoned house to save her. Meanwhile, Bowers, driven mad by Pennywise, murders his own father before attacking the group. Mike fights back, shoving Bowers down the well that they discovered under the house. Descending to the sewers, the losers find Pennywise's lair, filled with decaying circus relics and floating corpses of children. Beverly, left catatonic after glimpsing its deadlights, is revived by Ben's kiss. Bill encounters what appears to be Georgie, but realizes it's Pennywise in disguise. The creature offers to spare the others if they leave Bill behind, but the losers refuse, confronting their fears and weakening It. Forced to retreat, Pennywise slinks deeper into the tunnels as Bill declares It will starve. Finding Georgie's raincoat, Bill finally accepts his brother's death, comforted by his friends. As the summer ends, Beverly shares a vision she had while unconscious, a future battle with Pennywise as adults. The losers vow to return if It ever resurfaces. After saying their goodbyes, Bill confesses his feelings to Beverly and they share a kiss before she leaves for Portland. Now let us move on to some trivia about the film It, to learn some things about the behind the scenes, the production, and the actors. The teeth prosthetics that Bill Skarsgård wore as Pennywise made him drool profusely. So, and director Andy Muschietti liked this so much that the drooling, that he said that the drooling adds on to the ravenous nature of Pennywise. And honestly, I think that adds to it too, because there's parts where like he's just like looking while he's doing like the action with his eyes, where he can make them kind of like, which we'll get into in a little bit. But like him sitting there like drooling over these children is like just, I think it adds to that like, ooh, like what is he? Is he like there to he's there to prey on children like in a monstrous way? Like I don't know. I think it adds like a really good quality that adds. I think it the quality that it adds is like something more animalistic, something more like oh yeah, he's really there just to feed. Due to Bill Skarsgård being able to move his eyes in different directions, and that's each eye individually, Pennywise is looking at both the characters and into the camera as if he's also looking right at the audience. And I think that also adds a little bit to that kind of animalistic, like where like he just becomes unfocused, and it's more that like nature of like that it needs to feed comes out, and that's what adds to like the drooling and the weird eyes, and I think it just makes it like he's more of an unsettling creature, which I think plays better than just like something from like the Mac Rovers. I think it grounds it a little bit more for people to be like, oh yeah, like it's more animalistic. It's more hunting for food. It's just, and children just happen to be its main source of consumption. The Duffer Brothers originally wanted to direct the movie, but were overlooked as they were not established enough. They went on to create, obviously, Stranger Things, which co-stars Finn Wolfhard and pays homage to Stephen King. They also worked with Alexander Skarsgård, brother of Bill Skarsgård, on their debut film, Hidden, which I did not know that. And honestly, we basically got it from them with Stranger Things. Stranger Things is essentially just it's a little bit of like maybe like Needful Things. It's Stand By Me. It's a bunch of Stephen King just wrapped up together and like rehashed, and not in a bad way, but just like it's things that Stephen King has taken, or they took from Stephen King. But I mean, obviously Stephen King took a lot of his stuff from everyone else, and I mean that's basically what you do as a writer. You just take things from other things. It's just how you kind of what makes it original is how you plug those different things in to make them a more unique story. According to Bill Skarsgård, there was an unnerving deleted scene that involves Pennywise terrorizing a young mother in the 17th century. He states that there was a scene we shot that was a flashback from the 1600s before Pennywise was Pennywise. The scene turned out really, really disturbing, and I'm not the clown. I look more like myself. He goes on to say it's very disturbing and sort of a backstory for what it is, or where Pennywise came from. Timothy Simmons, who auditioned for the role of Pennywise, confirmed this while after Skarsgård's revelation in an interview on a podcast called Throwing Shade. Simmons stated that he read the script and that the scene requires the character to threaten to kill a young woman and her entire family if she doesn't hand over her baby for feasting. He says, "It was Pennywise way back at the beginning of Derry, convincing a woman to give him her baby to eat. It was scary. The thing was scary. The thing that was scariest about it was that it was very direct. It was, if you don't do this, these are the things that I'm going to do." And they were all terrible. One of the podcast hosts, Brian Safi, had also auditioned for the role of Pennywise and has stated that he still has a copy of the script in which a similar scene is present. The scene is one of several scenes shot, yet ultimately not used in the film. Yeah, that's wild, dude. Like, I gotta see if this is on the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, the like with all the extra features and stuff. The delete. The fact that I haven't seen anything yet pop up means probably not. But who knows? It could be. But dang, like, it sounds like it would have made him a little bit more sinister, more so than, obviously he became. But yeah, if it's cut for the right reason, it's probably like time and stuff, and maybe some other things. But obviously it's because it's just so like disturbing. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. I wanted it to be more. When I get into my final thoughts, this to be closer. I wanted it to be closer to the novels. That would make it further away because this is just some random thing that they're putting in to add about, like, I don't know. This kind of where it came from, where Pennywise came from, but. Like if you read the novel and like the way that they portray it, it's like it came from space. It came from outer space. The groundwork for It Chapter 2 began taking shape even before the first film's release. In February 2016, producer Roy Lee confirmed to Collider that the story was being envisioned as 2 films, with Gary Doberman collaborating with director Andy Muschietti on the script. And by July 2017, Muschietti revealed that pre-production for the sequel was set to begin in early 2018, targeting a spring shoot. He explained that the second film would focus on the adult Losers Club, 27 years after the events of the first movie, with flashbacks to their childhood in 1989. Unlike a traditional sequel, Muschietti emphasized that Chapter 2 would function as the concluding half of a single narrative, with strong ties to the original. He also mentioned that the possibility of incorporating deleted scenes from the first film, such as the black spot fire from King's novel. New Line Cinema officially announced the sequel in September 2017, scheduling its release for September 6, 2019, with Muschietti returning to direct. Doberman initially remained as writer, but later departed to work on Annabelle Comes Home, promoting Jason Fuchs to take over scripting duties. Casting discussions began early, with the young actors from the first film playfully suggesting their ideal adult counterparts. Sophia Lillis named Jessica Chastain for Beverly Marsh, while Finn Wolfhard picked Bill Hader for Richie Tozer, both of whom would eventually land the roles. Muschietti and his sister, producer Barbara Muschietti, openly expressed their desire to cast Chastain, who had previously starred in Andy's Mama. By November 2017, Chastain confirmed her interest, and in February 2018, she officially joined the project. Over the next few months, the Adult Losers Club took shape. James McAvoy entered talks for Bill Denbrough. Hader signed on as Richie. And James Rinsone, Jay Ryan, and Andy Bean were cast as Eddie Kasprak, Ben Hanscom, and Stanley Uris, respectively. Additional roles included Isaiah Mustafa as Mike Hanlon, Xavier Dolan as Adrian Mellon, and Will Benenbrick as Tom Rogan. Teach Grant was tapped to play the adult Henry Bowers, while Jess Wexler joined as Bill's wife, reuniting several cast members from The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby. Javier Botet also reprising his role as its monstrous forms. Principal photography commenced on June 2018 at Pinewood Toronto Studios, where an elaborate sewer set was constructed. Much of the filming took place in Port Hope, Ontario, which was once again stood in for Derry, Maine. The town's historic buildings, including the town hall, doubling as the Derry Library and Hotel Carlisle, provided key backdrops. Other locations included a 1902 Toronto mansion, Cranfield House, homes in Oshawa and Pickering, and the Mount Mary Retreat Center in Ancaster, which served as Derry High School. The production also utilized the Allura Quarry, Hamilton's Scottish Rite, and Toronto's Rogue Park as the Barrens. One of the most striking sets was the Pennywise house, built in Oshawa and later burned down for a pivotal scene. Filming wrapped in early November 2018 after 86 days. The visual effects team, led by Atomic Arts and Method Studios, employed cutting-edge de-aging technology to seemingly match the young actors' appearance from the first film, and supervised by Brooke Lyndon Stanford, Justin Cornish, and Josh Simmons, with contributions from Cubica, Lola VFX, Make VFX, Rodeo FX, and Soho VFX. The effects ensured continuity between the two chapters while enhancing the film's supernatural horrors. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into It Chapter 2.
Yes, can I help you?
I used to live here.
Won't you come in? It's the least I can do. Is it like you remember?
Cleaner.
Well, you feel free to look around while I get the water boiling.
Your hair is winter fire. January embers. My heart burns there too.
There you go.
Thank you.
Now some music. I do apologize. It gets so very hot here this time of year.
It's fine.
Well, you feel like you could just about die. But you know what they say about Derry? No one who dies here ever really dies. But tell me, how is it being back in Derry?
It's good. Strange.
Strange? Oh, my. I had some cookies in the oven before you came. Stay right there.
I shouldn't impose. I'm gonna...
No, I insist.
Your photos are lovely, Miss Kirsch. Are these your family?
My father came to this country with $14 in his pocket.
What did he do, Mrs. Kirsch?
My father joined the circus. I was always Daddy's little girl. What about you? Are you still his little girl, Beverly? Are you?
This meeting of the Losers Club has officially begun.
We can do this, but we have to stick together.
Hello.
27 years after its initial defeat, Pennywise the Dancing Clown, still played by Bill Skarsgård, resurfaces in Derry, Maine in 2016. The creature murders Adrian Mallon, a gay man, shortly after he and his boyfriend are viciously attacked by a group of homophobic teenagers. Mike Hanlon, the only member of the Losers Club who never left Derry, calls the others, Bill Denbrough, Ben Hanscom, Beverly Marsh, Richie Tozer, Eddie Kasprak, and Stanley Uris. All return except Stanley, who has taken his own life. Mike helps the group recover their lost memories before it itself cruelly informs them of Stanley's death. Richie and Eddie consider leaving until Beverly shares visions of their gruesome deaths if they abandon their mission. Meanwhile, it murders a young girl, Victoria, at a baseball game and aids Henry Bowers in prison for killing his father and escaping a psychiatric facility. The grown-ups are played by Isaiah Mostafa, James McAvoy, Jay Ryan, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, James Ransone, Andy Bean, and Teach Grant, respectively. At the library, Mike guides Bill through a drug-induced vision revealing the Native American ritual of Chud, which can destroy it using personal artifacts from their past. Bill retrieves Georgie's paper boat and warns a local boy, Dean, to flee Derry. Beverly retrieves Ben's old love poem from her childhood home, but is ambushed by it in the form of a grotesque old woman. Richie visits an abandoned cinema to recover a game token and is confronted by Pennywise, who taunts him about his repressed homosexuality. Ben chooses a yearbook page signed by Beverly as his artifact, while Eddie retrieves an inhaler from a pharmacy, only to be attacked by the leper. Back at the hotel, Richie storms out, and Bill races to the carnival but fails to save Dean from Pennywise. Bowers assaults Eddie in the hotel before heading to the library, where he attacks Mike. Richie returns just in time to impale Bowers. The losers then regroup at the Neibolt house, convincing Bill, devastated over Dean's death, not to face it alone. With their memories fully restored, the group ventures into the sewers beneath the house. Mike contributes a rock from the childhood battle with the Bowers gang, and they perform the ritual inside the remains of the meteor that brought it to Earth. The attempt fails when it emerges as a monstrous spider-clown hybrid and forces Mike to admit that the ritual killed its original practitioners. It attacks, trapping Bill, Ben, and Beverly in personalized nightmares. They break free, Bill by releasing his guilt over Georgie's death, Beverly by realizing Ben wrote her the love letter. When Richie is paralyzed by fear, Eddie saves him but is fatally speared. Before dying, Eddie explains how he weakened it earlier by nearly choking the leper to death. The losers stand united, declaring that they no longer fear it, causing the creature to shrink into a feeble, weakened form. Mike tears out its heart, and the group crushes it, finally destroying it. They return to Eddie's body, but are forced to leave him behind as the cavern collapses, destroying the Neibolt house. At the quarry, the losers console Richie, and Ben and Beverly share a kiss. Later, the scars on their hands vanish. As they part ways, Ben and Beverly marry. Richie revisits the bridge where he once carved his and Eddie's initials. Mike leaves Derry, and Bill starts writing a new story. Mike reveals Stanley's suicide letters, in which he admits his terror of facing it and explains his death was meant to strengthen the others. His final words remain with them. They will always be losers. Alright, so let's move on to some trivia about the film It, Chapter 2, to learn some things about the behind the scenes, the production, and the actors. The role of Richie Tozer in the film was written with Bill Hader in mind, but it still allowed freedom for other actors to potentially take the role. Once Hader officially joined the cast, the script was edited to tailor the role specifically to his talents. Jessica Chastain was considered for Beverly while the first film was still in production. She was also the first one to be officially cast. And I'm kind of glad that they went with these, like, people that the kids kind of picked for themselves. I wish they had maybe done that a little bit more with some of the other. I'm not saying that anyone else was bad in their parts, but it's just that I kind of like they kind of saw how like they might be as like older, and I think they were like, yeah, like if me, Finn Wolfhard, were to grow up, I'd probably be more of like a Bill Hader or something like as like Richie, like this character would grow up to be like a Bill Hader, and same thing with Sophia Lillis. It's like she's like, oh, I'd probably be more of like a Jessica Chastain, you know, and I honestly, I think they were spot on with pick their choices. That's why I'm just saying I wish maybe they had, and who knows, maybe they did like play with the idea of like, let's just get all the people they named in a room and see if it works. And maybe like, yeah, like it clicked with Bill Hader and Jessica, and obviously Jessica Chastain was already in mind because that's where like, because with Andy Muschietti's mama, they'd already worked together, so he'd already seen her like act before and like for him, and so he already kind of understood that, you know, okay, she'd probably do well in this role. Yeah, seems like, but yeah, I just mean like maybe like if like any of the other kids had been like, oh, this person, maybe you should have been like, but I do think that like, what's his name? He plays the adult. Eddie, James Ransone, I think he does a really good job at capturing like the Eddie that we see in the first film. So who knows, you know. The beginning of the film had upset many members of the LGBTQ plus community due to a gay character ending up being brutally attacked by local teenagers and then brutally murdered by Pennywise. Some people have mentioned that the scene had happened in the original novel as well, and it was meant to show how bad of a place Derry truly is, which is kind of what Stephen King was kind of going for in the novel, but also, not only did the scene appear in the novel, it was based on a true story. In 1984, Charlie Howard, a gay man, was killed by a group of teens in Bangor, Maine. Howard was thrown off the State Street Bridge into the Kenduskeag Stream Canal, where he drowned. And I'm not saying, I think Stephen King built this into there to show, yes, because even at the time, I mean, people were very homophobic at that time, and for someone to show them in a lighter light, at that time too, it was like, what's this person doing? Why are they doing this? Like, it's not something you normally did. And for them to kind of put this in there, like, kind of like, I think it's kind of like he was looking forward type of thing, where it's like, yes, they're going to look back and be like, oh, this is horrible. But it's like, it's to show you the brutality of this place, this town. And like, yeah, in the future, maybe we'll be a little bit nicer to the gay community, the LGBTQ community, and we'll understand that, like, that's what it is. It's like, it's meant to show the brutality and like how horrible, and like these are just people too. And in the novel, it does fall into some like tropes of like, but Stephen King's just full of tropes constantly. But I think excluding it really doesn't do a service to show how like the town may look like a pristine like northwestern town where everybody gets to hang around, and you know, there's the black people, there's the gays, there's people, everybody's getting along. But underneath it, it's like it's like that's Derry is it. That's what you learn in the novel. That's what you get from everything, is that this place wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it. Like, it's learned to make this its hunting ground, and it's influenced everything around it. And that's even with this brutal killing of this poor man. Like, he did nothing but want to live his life and with his partner, and the town that and in the novel, like, he loves Derry. Like, you find, like, when he's talking about how much, like, yeah, like, the people here, it has this weird kind of vibe, but you know what, I really love it. And like, even his partner's kind of like, I don't know, we should probably move. but he really likes being in Derry, but Derry being a part of it just it harms everybody. Director Andy Muschietti wanted director Guillermo del Toro to make a cameo appearance in the film. The cameo was supposed to take place during the flashback scene where Ben is running in the school hallways from Pennywise. Del Toro was supposed to portray the janitor that Ben bumps into. Unfortunately, scheduling conflicts prevented it from happening. And honestly, I really wish he would have been in just a little appearance, any appearance of Guillermo del Toro. I love Guillermo del Toro. Honestly, to me, it feels kind of like a callback to Scream, where, if it would have happened, like, it would have been like this cool, like, little callback where Wes Craven plays the janitor, in the scene where Henry Winkler as the principal is he's before he gets killed. Spoilers if you haven't seen Scream, movie that's like 30 years old now, whatever. Anyways, when Henry Winkler, he looks outside of his office and there's the janitor right there, and it's Wes Craven, but he's in the Freddy get up, he's got the striped sweatshirt and the fedora on, and then Henry Winkler is like, "Oh, not you, Fred." It's pretty funny. That's kind of what I got as the vibe. But honestly, if you haven't seen Guillermo del Toro in It's Always Sunny, check it out because he's hilarious in there. A recurring criticism about Stephen King's novels is his lack of inspiration for endings, even in otherwise well-acclaimed novels. This is repeatedly addressed in the movie, where Bill receives the same comments about his books, even from King, as King has a cameo, which I think is probably the best cameo for Stephen King to have or to be in. I love he plays the shop owner in the secondhand clothes, and he's just "Oh, aren't you that writer or whatever? Oh, your ending sucked or whatever." And then he sells them silver. But yeah, I mean, here's my thing with Stephen King. And if you've been listening, I did the Dark Tower series. I started it. So I've gotten the first 2 books out of the way. I'm on the third. I'm going to be releasing the third one maybe pretty soon. So watch out for that. But I think with his endings, it's that I think he's more of it's about the journey rather than the end. And I don't know. I like his endings. I don't have a problem with. I mean, some of them end a little okay, that was kind of it. Okay, but for the most part, I like the ending of it. I've always liked the ending of it. To me, it never felt lacking inspiration. I think what it comes down to is because you're reading a book and you're imagining it. I think when you get to the end of it in the novel, so here's spoilers if you haven't read the novel because it is a little bit different, and we'll get into that from the movies. You find out that its true form is a spider. Now, on paper, I feel damn, that's creepy, big ass spider, and it's a callback to Lord of the Rings. Just remember, Stephen King loves Lord of the Rings. He's gonna call back to Lord of the Rings whenever he can. And then he goes into this kind of meta thing with the deadlights and the macroverse, and how if you really were to see its true form, it would drive you crazy, and it's incomprehensible. That's what it really is. This is just what the closest our minds can. It becomes very psychological, and I think it works for a novel. But when you're trying to translate that to a film, I think that's where it gets hard. How do you tell people this is a not just an alien, but it's an entity from beyond space, from beyond everything. I think they did it as well in this film as they could, with like the half spider, half clown, so you still get the Pennywise in it, so it's so creepy. And I think showing like the three balls of like the deadlights behind its head, like controlling it like it's a puppet. I like that. I think that to me is a way to interpret the deadlights and show us like, oh, it's something beyond this that we wouldn't have been able to, like, you wouldn't have been able to express on film. Because if you tried to do the whole thing where like Bill's body leaves his like astral body, or his astral essence leaves his body and goes into a plane of space where he meets Matron, the turtle, and the turtle is massive beyond eternity. He's described as huge, and that like there's galaxies in his nails, and that the turtle explains that he vomited up our universe and he's sorry that he did it. It was an accident because he had indigestion. And that it doesn't like the turtle, that it's its natural enemy, and that he like has to confront. He's like heading towards these lights in this void of beyond space or whatever, and then like he's able to hurt it and stuff. It's all this. It's so beyond what you could put on film. Does he have some novels where it just kind of, like, it's kind of a lackluster ending? Yeah. And there's some things where it's like, it's still a good end, but it's like maybe not what you wanted from what you're getting. There's some, like, The Shining, I think, has a pretty good ending, but I think some people still would be like, whoa, that was a little predictable. It's like, I don't think so. Like, yeah, they set up this ticking time bomb, but like you didn't expect that to be exactly what it is that causes it. The Shining, though, completely different from the book and the movie. Different, so don't even think I'm talking about the movie. I'm talking about the novel. But beyond that, though, like I said, yes, hit or miss, but for the most part, I think they're pretty okay. Okay, so now let's check out some differences between the novel and the two films. Just like any adaptation, there are going to be differences and changes from the source material. Let's take a look at what the two films changed and what differences come about. So here are the differences and changes in 2017's It. So we're going to start with the time period. Obviously, they kind of shifted up the time period. It was 1958 to 1985, kind of doing like a switcheroo of the numbers. And then they moved it up to 89 for the past. And then I think 2016 is supposed to be the year it's set in when they're adults. Another thing, Pennywise, what Pennywise turns into. In the novel, it's a bunch of different things from like the classic Universal monsters. It's Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein. It's monster. Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein. But the creature from the Black Lagoon. And then there's like dead kids, and then like the blood in the sink with Beverly. And then there's the leper with Eddie. And then the bird. Well, the bird kind of is like the monster movies. So like Rodan and stuff like that. Because that's kind of how he pictures it a little bit, but it's more of like a bird. But they changed it to a bunch of different things in the movie. It's like the black spot, and then it's like the they kept the blood, they kept the leper, because I think those are like the two like gruesome. But they changed it to like the headless librarian or whatever, and then Georgie in the basement and things like that. They don't have that. They don't include like the album or anything like Georgie's album like in the novel. But Mike's parents being deceased, that's another thing. His parents aren't dead like in the film. They didn't die at the fire in the black spot. That's his dad was there when it happened, but he didn't get killed. Downplaying of Silver, the bike. When Bill's older and he gets to secondhand clothes, he finds Silver again, and it's kind of like this kind of like supernatural like sign or omen or something, because he buys it and then he uses it to wake Audra up from her catatonic state. But in this, it's kind of played as like a goof of like, oh, it's just an old bike. The death of Patrick Hockstetter in the novel is way crazier than just like he sees some like dead kids or whatever or something, and Pennywise gets him. It's like he's a psychopath, and he killed his little brother. We find out through his inner like voice or whatever, him telling his story, and he's torturing a dog, a little puppy. Then like these like leech things come out and get him. It's way different. The losers in the sewers, you know, they don't just like get down there. Like they get down there from like the Barrens in the novel, going into one of like the pipes that are sticking out that Ben calls the Morlock pits or something. The Morlock pipes or more. I forgot exactly what it is. But it's a callback to H.G. Wells' Time Machine. That's where like the Morlocks, they're the ones that because when he goes in the time machine, when he goes further into the future, he finds that humans are essentially kind of like soft and kind of dumb, and like they don't like know how to like do anything. They just sit around all day. They just like do whatever. It's kind of like a utopia, but you learn that like they get fed by like like automated things and stuff like that. I don't know exactly, but essentially there's these like pipes that come out and like they lead down into the underground. There's another set of humanoid creatures or whatever, like they're called the Morlocks, and they actually eat humans, and they've been like basically they were raising humans like cattle. So they go them up at night and they snatch humans and they eat them. But that's how they get into the sewers. But then in the movie, it's under the house in Neibolt Street. Henry Bowers and his gang. So in the novel, Henry kills his dad with a switchblade, and then he convinces his friends to help him chase down the kids and the Barrens, and they chase them to the sewers. But then then it gets them. In the novel or in the movie, I think we see him kill his dad, but we don't see. I think there's a deleted scene where he kills his friends, but we don't really see them. It's just him chasing them into in the house on Neibolt Street, and that's where Mike is able to knock him into the sewers, and he falls down, and he's like not seen again for the rest of the movie. The house on Neibolt Street. So in the novel, Eddie goes there, kind of like just like when he's walking around as a kid, like lonely. And that's when the leper attacks him, and then when he explains it to Bill and Richie, Ben, and everyone else, Bill and Richie decide to go and check it out, and that's when they hear something coming from upstairs, because they go through into the basement, and as they scramble out, when Richie looks back, it's a werewolf. But when he's recounting the tale, they're both recounting the tale to the others, that Bill is like, no, it was the clown, but it was wearing like a Derry jacket, like a Derry hide jacket, which is what Richie also thought too, but as a werewolf. And so that's when they learn that like it appears to them each what their mind like fears, and that if they can solidify it together as one thing, then they have a chance of fighting it. That's when they all decide to go to the house on Neibolt Street and confront it, and they try and kill it there. And then when they go down, they go through the house, and like the house kind of like starts playing tricks. It starts becoming like a fun house. Like the hallway gets longer, the ceiling starts going away, but then like they're like, it's just a trick. It's just playing a trick on us, because Bill is like, because the ceiling looks like it's far flung away, like it's all black, they can't see it, like they're getting scared, but he's like, no, look, and he punches the roof or the ceiling or whatever, and the plaster kind of cracks, and they're able to, like, it comes back down and everything shrinks back, and he's like, see, it's just a trick that it's playing on us. So they get to the bathroom, because that's where it came out, because it comes through the sewers. So the toilet is completely shattered, like something came out of it, and then it comes out, and then that's when, like, it can't, because there's so many minds, it can't lock onto a form to change into, because it's like having so many different minds to like look into to transform. But then that's when Richie blurts out, oh, it's the werewolf, and for everybody it just locks into a werewolf form. And so from there, that's when like they use the silver. They get like these silver, that like quarters or something that Ben has, and they melt them down, and they turn them into these like ball bearing kind of things, kind of like slugs, kind of like they wanted to make a bullet, but they couldn't make a bullet. So Beverly is using it like with a slingshot and hits it, and like is able to like. Because the thing is, it's like the power of belief is like what helps them to kill it, because they believe that the silver is going to kill the werewolf. That hurts it. So they hurt it, but it leaves, and it doesn't live in the house on Neibolt Street. So it, confronting it as kids and the ritual of Chud, kind of comes full circle with them as adults. Everything clicks in, and they remember when they're adults, they remember everything. Finally, when they get down into the sewers and to its lair, where there's like a tiny door with a marking on it that each of them interpret differently. They go inside, and it's just this cavernous with like place with webbing everywhere, and then it comes down as a spider, and they have to perform the ritual of Chud between Bill and it, and he successfully harms it, but they're not sure if they killed it. So that's when they decide, we got to come back if it comes back. So here are the differences and changes in It Chapter 2. Ben being an alcoholic. I don't really remember them doing this too much, like presenting this too much in the film, but they do show a scene in the novel where he's like drinking very heavily, but like it's implied that it doesn't really faze him. I don't know. The loser searching for their tokens for the ritual of Chud. There's no need for like tokens or anything. The ritual of Chud in the novel is supposed to be between. They find it in some book that at the library Ben does when he's doing research, and they talk about like this thing called a glamour, which is what he thinks it might be. But what you do is essentially, it's like a Tibetan like ritual where you find the glamour, and you're supposed to stick out your tongue, and it sits out its tongue too, and you guys overlap your tongues. You bite down, and then you tell jokes, and whichever one laughs first is able to be. If the glamour laughs first, you can kill it. If you laugh first, then like it can kill you. I know, like that's how the ritual of Chud is described in that one Tibetan book, but like that's not how it's performed in the novel. When they get down there, or when they're kids, it's like a mental like they bite down in each other's tongue mentally, and they latch onto each other, and then Bill's able to like hurt it right when he repeats the this because since he has a stutter, he was learning in school like a way to help with the stutter, like so they give him this kind of thing called where that he recites. It's he thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghost, and so he chants that and it hurts it. But then when they're adults, because they've kind of lost their imagination, and he tries to perform the ritual of Chud, again, it doesn't really work. He's not able to get its tongue, and it's able to like kind of put him in like a trance, like a state. And then Richie tries to grab the tongue, and he kind of does for a little bit, and he's using his voice, because in the novel it's voices, not just jokes. Like he's using his voices and stuff, and it hurts it. But then he's able to also put Richie into like or it's able to put Richie into a trance. But it's when Eddie comes and uses his inhaler, and he was like, because he remembers there's a point in the novel where, you know, because they all take the asthma medicine and the inhaler. They all take it, and they're like, oh, that Richie mentions how it tastes like battery acid. And so then Eddie's like, if I believe that it's battery acid to it will be. Like, it's like if he believes it, it will be. So he's like, this is battery acid. And he puts and that's when it like grabs, like, it goes, like, his arm goes into its mouth. And he raises it, and like it starts hurting it internally. It starts hurting, but he bites off Eddie's arm, and that's how Eddie dies in the novel. But and so because he believed it was battery acid, it was battery acid to it. Henry Bauer specifically attacking Eddie, stabbing him in the face, and in return, Eddie stabbing him in the chest in self-defense, which didn't kill him. But then, see, in the novel, he attacks Mike first, and then he attacks Eddie, and he when he's attacking Eddie, he like breaks Eddie's arm again, and then but Eddie's able to stab him, or like he gets a Perrier bottle and breaks it, and is able to like kill, like slice open Henry like that, and he kills him. But obviously in the movie, it's Henry Bowers attacks Eddie first, stabs him in the face, but then he's able to kind of like get one onto Henry, and that Henry leaves. Bill trying and failing to protect Dean, the little boy who lives in his old house. That whole thing doesn't happen in the novel. He meets a little boy who is like skateboarding, and he says, you know, have you ever heard anything coming out of the sewer drains before? And he's like what? And he was like, I don't know anything. And he's like, no, but I think he says like yes, but like no. And then he's like, well, like other kids I hear like say that there's like voices from them, and he's like, yeah, just stay away from them. Just stay away from the sewers at all costs. Mike killing Henry Bowers in self-defense in the novel, and in the miniseries film. Richie kills him though, hacking him once in the head, and with I think it's like is it an axe in order to save Mike? In the novel, yeah, like so Mike gets attacked first, and then Henry's able to just like stab him with, I think he stabs him with the knife, but I think in the novel Mike has like a letter opener, and he's able to stab him. But in the movie, obviously, Richie comes and saves him, and Mike, and then this leads into Mike being with his friends when they defeat Pennywise and being the one to pull out its heart, which in the novel Mike doesn't. He's in the hospital the whole time. It even cuts away from them. It's kind of one of those things, like, I don't know why Stephen King did that, to exclude Mike from the finale when he, like, got them all together and everything. It's really, like, see, I think this is more something to harp on than, like, oh, it's a spider, what? why would it be a spider? Like, a spider is a pretty badass, like, enemy. But, like, this is something weird. Like, this is what you guys should be bringing up. Like, why is Mike excluded from the ending? It's really weird. Like, he's in the hospital the whole time, and there's even a point where Bill is like, oh, wait, it's sending someone to kill Mike. We got to send Mike all of our energy. And they all have to hold hands and, like, send Mike their energy to get him to have, like, energy to... Because there's, like, an orderly that's coming in to kill him that it is sending. It's, like, it's a whole thing. And, like, it was very... This is very unnecessary to me. And the fact that, they were just like, let's just bring Mike in with them. Great. It makes more sense. And, like, for him to be there, too, they're just missing the one with Stanley, and then they lose the other one with Eddie. And so it's not... It's a little weird. It's just a little weird that you would do it like that. The revelation of Richie's sexuality being subtly revealed as either gay or bisexual, which Stephen King has admitted was never intended to be implied from the book. Although I think, and when you read the text of the novel, I mean, it's never in. To me, it's never in there implying like anything like that, but I do like that, like, you gave this character a little bit more than just, ha ha ha, he's saying these funny jokes, ha 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 ha. And in the novel, like, he goes on about how him and some girl were trying to have kids or something, and, like, his sperm count and all this stuff, like, they go on a whole thing about it, and they talk about how, like, it's weird how none of us have kids or whatever. But, like, giving him something a little bit more dramatic, something a little bit more, like losing not just, like, the friend, but someone, like, you really deeply loved to, I mean, is it a little bad that, like, they couldn't just make him, like, be out? Kind of, but, I mean, what are you going to do? We still live in this stupid world where we're still arguing over, like, trans and whatever and whoever and whomever and pronouns and this and that, and it's just like, I don't understand why you guys can't just like let people live their lives. Jesus fucking Christ. Stanley's posthumous I guess I can't pronounce that, posthumous letters to his friends in which it's revealed that his suicide was actually to give them a fighting chance to defeat Pennywise and asking them to live their lives to the fullest. No. In the novel, like, they don't get any kind of letter like that. Mike learns from that Stanley's wife that he killed himself, and that's kind of it. Like, you learn that in the novel, you learn that Stanley's mind is just so orderly, so well put together, like, because he's such a neat freak and has to have everything the way, like, it has to be, that once Mike told him, like, hey, we got to come back, it's back, all of the memories came flooding back in. And that's the reason why Mike didn't want to tell them all at once, is because then this would happen. Mike was, like, too afraid. He knew what they were going to have to face, so he killed himself. He didn't want to have to face it again. And they kind of imply, like, oh yeah, like, I'm going to kill myself so you guys can go on. It's like, you're kind of making a little light of, like, suicide, but I don't know. It's a little iffy. I think it makes the character a little bit better, but like I said, like, I don't know why you're making a little bit light of, like, the suicide. Like, you could have just maybe had a scene where he, like, sits there, like you understand, like, maybe like the whole night goes through and, like, he's just sitting there, and then, like, finally he does it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Mike leaving Derry, that's another thing. Mike in the novel doesn't leave Derry after all those years, And, him being the only person who isn't, like, rich and who isn't, like, living their life to the fullest. He's still just the librarian in Derry at the end of the novel. No, and I'm glad that they had him leave, because, I mean, yeah, he shows up in another novel, and one of my favorite ones, Insomnia, but it's still like, come on, Mike needed to leave. You kept him there. It just seems weird that, like, it's also, like, the black guy. I don't know. And then the losers retaining their memories. Yeah, in the novel, they just start fading away again. Like, when they get all their memories back, and they're, like interacting like they were kids again. And as soon as they kill it, all their memories start fading again. Like, even the memories of, like, what just happened start going away. Like, defeating it, being in the sewers. They can't even remember, like at one point they're like, what was Stanley's last name? And then, like, did Eddie have asthma or, like, a club foot? It's things like that. And then, like, Mike talks about how all the things he wrote down for the interludes, the journal he's been working on, in, like, pen and or whatever he's been writing it down with, it's like the ink's fading away. So, like it doesn't want, like, it died, so it doesn't want anyone to remember it was there. It's a little, like, okay, all right. It's a little weird that they all forget, because especially that Ben and Beverly end up, like, leaving together, and it's like, so how are you going to explain to people, like, how you met? Was it, like, some reunion or something? Oh, another thing is that their spouses don't follow them. Beverly's husband, Tom, tracks her down, and Audra actually chases after Bill. She's the actress, and she gets put into a trance by it, and he has to wake her up by riding his bike with her around town, and that brings her out of her catatonic state. I don't know. I'm kind of glad they cut it, because at least with Audra's, it's a little like, you didn't really need to be there. It's this kind of weird, like, thing of, like, doubling. It's, like, meant to, like, be like, oh, duality and parallel this, parallel that. Like, Thomas is supposed to represent her dad, and Audra, or Beverly's dad, and Audra's supposed to represent Beverly or something. I don't know, whatever. It's not necessary to the plot. Like, really, it isn't. And I'm kind of glad they cut it out. But now, guys, let me get into my final thoughts. Hopefully it won't be too long. All right, so It 2017. Now, like, I think if you guys go back and you listen to me talking about It, the novel, It, the miniseries, and I talk about how I love it. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. As a kid, I loved the miniseries. I loved watching it over and over again. It grabbed me from a little kid who loved horror, and I loved watching it. Tim Curry's performance, still probably one of his best performances, and he has a lot of great performances. And then reading the novel in high school, being like what got me into reading, starting with this big long, like 1,000-page tome to to start off me reading. But, it got me into reading, and, I love this. I still love it, for all of its fault with all of the, like, the things, like, and one thing I didn't bring up was, like, the sex orgy when they're kids. I'm glad they did not try and film that. They did not need to do that. There's things about it that, it's blemishes, but there's things that I enjoy from it, the novel and the miniseries, and even into these ones. And I was so excited to see these ones, because I'd been waiting to see a great, just like another adaptation of it. I wanted one that was closer to the novel, one that, like, would show, like, more and give us a bit more. And you know what? it was great. I love it. I think this film, the first one, does a great job at like setting, sure, they moved it up to the 80s for them to be kids. You can say it feels a little Stranger Things-ish, but Stranger Things took a lot from it. So you know what I mean? Like, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, right? It's a story that we've seen before, but hey, they did a great job. The kids that they got, and I think this is like kind of obviously it jump started like this kind of like golden age for horror that we're kind of still in, and also like it's one of the highest. It's like, I think after did it beat Deadpool? It's like the highest grossing R-rated film of all time, and I think it's still Bill Skarsgård nails it as Pennywise. I think he does a great job at showing like this kind of weird, twisted form of a clown that we don't get with Tim Curry's Pennywise, but they and I love that he didn't just try and copy that. He didn't try and be, because I feel like Pennywise is kind of like drunken hobo that they dressed up as a clown, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get these little kids. And to me, Bill Skarsgård is more of like this weird guy that they were like, that they found off the internet and were like, hey, come over to the house. I don't know. There's a video like that where they find some random clown guy on the internet, and it's really creepy. But like that's like they just paid him to come over. It's really creepy, and that's what I feel like. That's how he portrays it, and he does a great job. I think the look, and like it really is stand out and distinct from Tim Curry's. It didn't need to be anything like more than like, it's not as colorful, but it's unique. It's like, it's very like you could paint it, I guess. Like you could like draw it. Like if you were to be like, here's some reds, here's some whites, bam, that's Pennywise. Now, at least. And yeah, all the kids, I think, do a great job. Like, I think Finn Wolfhard does a great job. I'm blanking all the other kids' names except for, like, Sophia Willis. She does a really good job as Beverly. I think all of them, they play their parts really good. The story is, yeah, sure, like, it's cut down, and but we do get to see, like, the major things that we need to see. I do kind of feel like bad for like Mike's character. In the first one, he's really reduced a lot. They kind of change his backstory. They make it like, oh, he's got no mom and dad, but he's living with his grandparents or something. And I don't know. It, especially coming from the novel, when you're reading it, it's like they're such loving parents, and like they're like the one parents that like went out of their way to constantly be like, Mike, are you okay? Are you good? Where all these other parents are kind of just like, especially Bill's parents, who are just like not there for this kid growing up after his brother dies. But I do like that we got the house on Neibolt Street. We got to see, like just these different little things here and there that I'm just glad we finally got in a film, and I'm giving it 4 stars. I think this is a great film. I think, especially for like newer horror, I think it's a standout, and it's one that like people will look back and be like, yeah, it. But for It Chapter 2, here's the thing. I know a lot of people don't really like the adult stuff. I kind of do. I like that they changed the ritual of Chid a little bit, because it's hard. Like, how are you going to do that on film? I'm not sure if I like Eddie as an adult exactly. I think he's a little too fun. I think both versions of him are just a little too like funny, like too quippy. There we go. Especially where I think Richie should be more like that, and he is, but I feel like there doesn't need to be 2 of them. They're just constantly like riffing off of each other and quipping and stuff. But it's like Eddie doesn't really play that way in the book. He's more of like a, come on, Eddie, stop. Or come on, Eddie. Come on, Richie, like, stop teasing me. I mean, it works for the film, but I don't know. It's okay. But I think the adult actors do a pretty good job, especially Bill Hader, I think, is a great choice to play Richie. I think, like I said, James Ransone is a really good Eddie. I think Isaiah Mustafa for Mike, I think he does a really good job. I'm glad he actually gets like more too in this, in the second one. He's there more. He's describing, like, he gives Mike Bill the hallucinogenic, and they get to see, you kind of get to see like what would have been in like the smoke hole where like it comes, and then we get a description of the ritual of Chud, kind of, and we get to see like the clubhouse, which I wish kind of would have been in the first one. I'm not it's kind of weird that it's like, oh, remember the clubhouse that we had that like we didn't see in this one. It's a little weird. But we do get to see the Paul Bunyan statue, which is awesome. That's something that we didn't get to see in the original miniseries, and it's a big part of the novel. Because Richie says that he, as a kid, never had an encounter with it. Well, he's like, well, but there is that one. That was just a dream. I fell asleep. But you find out that Richie did see it, and it was the Paul Bunyan statue was trying to get him. But he said that he thought that was a dream, and then as an adult, again, he sees the statue try to attack him. I think having Mike go with them into the sewers, great. I think that having him also confront it, amazing. I think that's something that the novel lacked, that it needed another, like, his character in there, because it just was kind of weird that they left him out. It, like, being this kind of spider clown mix kind of thing, but seeing also the deadlights controlling it behind its head was awesome. I think that's a perfect way to show the deadlights, and like that it's like something else, without having to sit there and be like, all right, how are we going to explain this? how do we sit here and explain to these people, these idiots in the audience, that like it's psychological and it's something beyond your mind and something that you can even comprehend, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I think they do a good job. I think they do a pretty good job with that. I like, it like having Beverly confront, Ben about the letter, the little poem he wrote, and that, they figure out, like, they love each other. And I don't know, the whole, I like the second part. I like both parts. I think honestly, I'd love to see one where they're cut together, where it's kind of like doing like the flashback thing. Honestly, I'd love to do that myself. Just take them both and just cut them together and edit it so it works as like one film, but kind of like the novel. I do like the inclusion of like having like the little kid Dean, because I think it's a good callback to like having like, oh, Georgie, right? Like he wasn't able to save his brother, he wasn't able to save that kid. Like but he's got to kill it. They got to stop it because it's gonna kill more kids. And so they got to stop. And Bill Skarsgård again, bam, great. He's so good at being just creepy, and I think that's what I think. I mean, he's able to do and be other things, but man, like when you're just like you're known for being that creepy guy, just do it. Just be that creepy guy. And honestly, I give this one 4 stars too. I know people out there are gonna not like that and not like me for giving it 4 stars also, but I think they're both great films. They complement each other. They were designed with each other in mind. So it's not like we got one and then they were like, oh, I guess we got to make the second part. How are we gonna do it? What are we gonna do? The fact that they even like asked the kids like who they wanted, and like 2 of them got like their wish, with Bill Hader and Jessica Chastain, and like they do a great job. I think Andy Muschietti is a pretty good director. I don't think I've really seen anything else he's done. I don't know why he did Flash. That's kind of stupid that he did the stupid Flash movie. Honestly, I if I were him, I would have been like, I'm gonna back away from this. And I think it's a good adaptation. I'm so glad that it kind of jump started this, like, let's start adapting Stephen King's stuff again. And from then we've gotten 11/22/63, which is great. We got Gerald's Game. We're getting The Long Walk. We got The Life of Chuck this year, which was amazing. They did another one. I know Mike Flanagan's been doing. He's been wanting to do like The Dark Tower, but man, I'm just so glad that it's like, oh, The Monkey came out this year. That was also Stephen King. That's such a good film. Go check it out if you haven't. But yeah, like, we're getting these movies adaptations of Stephen King that are great. That are like, actually people are like, yeah, let's make these, and they're going to be great. Some of them a little like Salem's Lot was okay. I think it could have been better, but for what it was fine. But other than that, I think most of them are pretty good. These ones, like, the production design is great. The design of the monsters, some of them are a little wonky, like the lady out of the portrait. But other than, like, the leopard design is great. Like, I love the scene where, he's vomiting all over Eddie. And, like, I think that at that point people will be like, oh, this is, like, silly. This is so dumb. Why did they do? And it's like, come on. It's like this whole concept is a little weird and whatever and out there. Like, just go along with it. Let's have fun sometimes. And other times, let's just do, like, yeah, sure, let's get into, like, this monster killing kids, right? But, like, come on, it's a little bit funny. They're real, like I said, really good films, great. I honestly, I really like them. I think I do kind of feel like the first one's a little bit better, but I do like the second one. I do like how they kind of wrapped it up, and they, like I said, yeah, there's all these changes from the novel, from the original miniseries, but you know what? I don't care. I think, sometimes it's necessary to change some things if it's going to make that fit that story that you're trying to tell, then that's okay. If you're going to take out, like, whole, like, sections where, like, it's unnecessary, I feel like with Tom and Audra and the child orgy, take those out. We don't need them. But when you're taking out, like, fundamental things, if you were to take out, like, something like it, like, I don't know, if you didn't talk about the deadlights, if you didn't talk about this or that, right? That's when it's like, okay, like, then what is it, right? Then what are we here talking about? Great movies. Honestly, probably some of the top films of the 2010s, horror films of the 2010s. And I want Andy Muschietti to do some more stuff. I wish he'd work with Guillermo del Toro more, because I didn't see Mama. I heard it's okay. It didn't interest me, but I know that he produced that. Guillermo del Toro produced that. So, I mean, we'll see what they do. Do you think these are good adaptations of the novel? Do you like these two films over the 1990s movie? Who's the better Pennywise? Well, that's a trick question. It's Tim Curry, obviously. We want to thank you all for listening, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to get every new episode downloaded. Do you have any personal or fictional, paranormal, supernatural, or unexplainable stories? We love to read them on the podcast. Please send your stories, recommendations, or anything else to horrorboxpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to show more support, you can follow our socials on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, or check out our YouTube channel, all at Horrorbox Podcast on all sites. Also, you can buy me coffee at coffee.com/horrorboxpodcast. It really helps out. Until next time, maybe don't wait years to defeat evil. This is Dom, signing off from the Horrorbox.
Georgie. What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
Yes, please.
You look like a nice boy. I bet you have a lot of friends.
3, but my brother's my bestest.
Where's he?
In bed, sick.
I bet I could cheer him up. I'll give him a balloon. Do you want a balloon too, Georgie?
I'm not supposed to take stuff from strangers.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise, the dancing clown. Pennywise? Yes, meet Georgie. Georgie, meet Pennywise. Now we aren't strangers, are we?
What are you doing in the sewer?
Oh, the storm blew me away. Blew the whole circus away. Can you smell the circus, Georgie? There's peanuts, cotton candy, hot dogs, and...
Popcorn?
popcorn! Is that your favorite?
Uh-huh.
I do! Because they pop. Pop, 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 pop. Pop, pop, pop.
I should get going now.
Oh. Without your boat? You don't want to lose it, Georgie. Bill's gonna kill you. Here. Take it. Take it, Georgie.